It's Dimps. One day I was playing Risk of Rain 2 with some friends, a roguelike where you go through stages, collecting items and killing the bosses. If you die, you go back to the first level. It's a good time, and better in a group. My friends were brand new, and I had about 50 hours of gameplay. I would answer their questions, or let them find out what an item or obelisk does on their own, but I never gave them information unprompted. Someone might say, "What's this item do?" And I would respond, pick it up and find out. Maybe sprinkling in, "I think you'll like it." Like a parent playing coy on Christmas Day. A few days later we played again and someone asked, "What's this item do?" And before I could answer, another friend hopped in saying, "That item is actually better for this player, as it stacks better with their current build, at least until they get 8 of them, because then it begins the diminishing returns. The item isn't that good anyway, so we will turn it into scrap and ensure we get a red item after we find the newt altar." Said like a parent who has to let you know how difficult it was to get you that Christmas Day present. What happened here? How is this player dropping specific and deep, knowledgeable facts despite only having 2 hours of playtime? In fact, even more knowledge than me, someone who has 25 times the amount of experience. Simply put, we approach games with different mindsets. He liked the game, so he consumed forums, wiki guides, YouTube videos, and streamers to increase his chances of winning. To find the best build, to not waste any time with imperfect items. Why play a game if you don't plan on playing optimally? And that's where our differences lie. To me, optimal does not equal fun. I like to play games as blindly as possible. I want to discover the world, the mechanics, the rules, all on my own. I feel like I absorb and appreciate everything more when it feels like I've discovered it naturally. I'm that way with most things though. You can tell me 2 + 2 is 4, but I'm not going to remember that unless I learn why 2 + 2 is 4. Simply put, I don't like using guides, walkthroughs, or cheat sheets. Now, I don't fault my friend for using guides or wikis. Their method for fun doesn't make me have any less fun. Hell, I had the physical guide for Pokemon Yellow as a child, and I thought it was the coolest thing ever. What I want to talk about is why I believe using outside sources tends to now sour my gaming experiences. The main reason is that guides dictate how you play. This removes any wonder or experimentation that a game could provide. This I apply to all genres. Let's start with the fear of missing out. Video games are unique in their art form on how they are experienced. You look at a painting and you see the whole picture. You can spend as much time as you'd like observing every detail. But with a game, you can miss storylines, unlockables, characters, and if it were a painting, it may look like this. Now it feels like you didn't experience it properly. Games actually have physical representations of these gaps in the forms of achievements and trophies. When I was younger, I was definitely under the alluring spell of achievements. So much so that I used guides before I played a game to ensure I didn't miss any. I didn't realize at the time, but this was removing any intrigue the story may have had. Some achievements would spoil twists, or would be locked behind super specific pathways. But because I wanted the imaginary points, I would ruin the story for myself or make decisions I wasn't interested in. This most commonly happened in RPGs with branching paths, like Dragon Age or Mass Effect. "Oh, you want to help this poor village? Sorry, but the achievement dictates you need to side with the Empire here in order to unlock the rest of their story. And that's what you'll do. Don't you dare start to roleplay in this role-playing game. Follow the script and get your gamer score up." Missing out on characters or weapons is another major factor, especially in RPGs. Fire Emblem, Final Fantasy, Chrono Cross, there are tons of RPGs where you can miss party members because they need specific requirements to recruit them. Some are pretty cryptic too. Again, as a kid, I remember looking at every guide possible because it feels bad to miss a character, because they feel more essential to the gameplay experience overall. In Final Fantasy IX, in order to get Steiner's best weapon, you need to get to the final dungeon in 12 hours. It's a 40-hour game normally. That means if it is your first time playing the game, the chances of you getting this weapon without a guide are near 0%. Maybe this encourages people to replay, but the many times I've played Final Fantasy IX, I never got that weapon. Because I like exploring the world too much, and I don't want to follow the intended route. It's like walking through an amusement park, but being told you can only go on 2 of the 45 rides. The fighting game genre is another big target for guides. The genre becomes more fun the better you become, so it might make sense to use guides because there are so many moves and nuances to learn. Which character is the best? I don't want to waste time learning a bad character. I better look up a tier list, then watch a video on the optimal combos to ensure I increase my chances of winning. In competitive games, the goal, on paper, is to win, so why wouldn't I use the tools that will make me win? For starters, I think tier lists are bullshit, at least for 99% of players. While learning a fighter, the one-frame nuances or resource management mind games aren't going to matter to you. You still need to learn how to block, counter, anti-air, punish, footsies, etc. And this can be done with any character. Are you really going to play only top-tier characters because they are top tiers? When a balance patch comes out, does that mean you will instantly switch to the next best character? It's just another example of being dictated on how to play. I played Kimberly in Street Fighter 6, thought she looked cool and her moveset was fun. I had no idea she is barely used and is considered bottom tier. Still hasn't stopped me from hitting master rank with her. And I get that fighters are maybe the most sweaty genre out there, so why wouldn't I use optimal combos? Well, to me, I have more fun finding out what moves connect and work together as opposed to being told, these are the buttons you press in order to win. Pressing other buttons are not the correct buttons. And think of it this way, if every player does the same optimal combo, eventually you'll know exactly how to punish it. And if that's all they know, well, you just took away their entire game plan. Fighting games feel more like science than any other genre, because you have to understand the why as opposed to simply having the answers. And the why is best understood through playing. So when a guide says this combo does the most damage or is the most optimal, it may help you win a few early matches, but then you'll be absolutely demolished because you haven't understood why it works. I think my biggest disdain for guides is the way people seem to be so readily to use them as a reason people shouldn't criticize or get stuck in a game. What I mean is, it's hard to say a part of a game is confusing or difficult without someone immediately referring a guide or a bunch of John Lennon's dismissively commenting, "Imagine thinking that part is hard," when Stream Boy 420 released their Cheese Strat video. To me, if I have to stop a game to look at a walkthrough, I see that as a fault of the game not being clear with its instructions or design. Using a walkthrough or a tips/exploit video lets the game off the hook from criticism. Hell, everything is easy when you have the cheat sheet. I got a perfect score in my test. Well, great, did you study hard? No, I had the answers and copied it. What gives a better feeling of satisfaction, being told exactly what to do, possibly using cheap strategies, or figuring out what to do and executing your game plan successfully? There's a saying that, given the chance, gamers will optimize fun out of a game. Maybe that's my biggest reason I stay away from guides. My fun lies within the discovery, not the result. Maybe just a nerdier way of saying it's about the journey, not the destination. And I have no better personal example than World of Warcraft. I played back in the vanilla and Burning Crusade days, a time people still look upon fondly, which is why you will often see private servers emulate that era. I occasionally jump on one of these servers and love it, up until the end game, because that's when people rely on those damned guides. There are a bunch of classes, all with unique talent trees to customize how you play, but in the end game, the other players will let you know if you do not follow the approved talent specialization for your class, you will not get to experience the end game content. You need the right talents, the pre-best in slot armor, then the best in slot armor. This race is better for this class. These are the professions you must follow. Blah 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 blah. Now, in their defense, MMORPGs are insanely time consuming, so optimization is important for those late game raids. I guess it's better to know you can't blame a wipe on gear or spec, but that's where this genre loses me. My fondest memories were because I played stuff I like. I remember running the Molten Core, the first major raid in the game. 40 players working together in a multi-hour long adventure. So cool. My Night Elf Druid was so excited. We entered the raid and I transformed into a Moonkin, ready to cast my arcane and nature spells. There was a beat, and the raid leader asked me, why wasn't I restoration spec? Very young, naive me responded with, I like casting spells. Luckily, I was not kicked out of the group, but my guild leader was not happy with me. You know who was, though? The group of mages they put me with as I increased their spell crit chance by 3%. They told me this was the best damage they've done in Molten Core ever. And all because I didn't know I was supposed to play optimally. And yes, I know we probably lacked any heals because of me, but we finished the raid without wiping, so relax, WoW nerds. As I get older, I've become more okay with missing things. In a strange way, missing out or playing how I want made me look back on these experiences more fondly because I did it on my own. I don't remember games that well if I used a walkthrough. Ironic, seeing how they are literal written records on what I probably did, but because it wasn't my choice or my discovery, it made them less impactful. But that's why I don't use guides. And if you do, that's completely fine. I'm not going to gatekeep and say you are playing wrong. It's just not how I play. Games are meant to be fun, so do what you want to have fun. Let me know how you use walkthroughs. Do they increase your fun? Is it only when you get lost in a game? Are you a min-maxer, need to know all the tricks kind of person? Maybe you have limited gaming time and walkthroughs ensure you get to experience something substantial. Either way, let me know how you play a game. Thanks for watching, and happy gaming.